Soldier, keep on marching on.
I was working at a Barnes & Noble. I'm dusting books for like 8 hours a day. And I say to the Lord, I'm so sorry, God. I feel ungrateful, but I don't want to be doing this anymore. And he's like, it's about time. And I'm like, I'd really like to be in music. And he's like, I'd really like you to be in music too.
Wow.
So he said, well, put something in my hand. I was pulling up to the studio that day and I didn't want to go. Like everything in me was like, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. And God just is like, pull out your phone. And he gives me this one little lyric.
Yeah.
And it was, soldier, keep on marching on. That's all I had. And I hit end and I walked in.
Did that make the Will Smith trailer?
You're in war with one of the biggest corporations in the world.
That's your small world of evangelism.
Over and over and over to this day, God's like, you're not here as the artist, you're here as a...
Hey everybody, this is Rita Springer. Welcome once again to the Rita Springer podcast, and worship is my weapon. Exciting day today here. I know her from church. She's on stage a lot singing. She's one of our worship leaders, but she has kind of got two different identities, which we're going to talk about today. Lauren Sloat is your married name,
Yes.
but I remember you as Lauren Strom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there may be some people that know you as Lauren Strom because didn't you come out with an album years ago?
Yes. Yep.
But you're also known, your artist name, is that what you call it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your artist name is
Fleurie.
Fleurie.
Yes.
First of all, where did Fleurie come from?
Oh my goodness. This is a fun story. I was in college at
Yeah.
Hillsong College.
Okay.
Which I haven't
Australia?
even told you. Mhm.
Whoa, okay.
From
Yeah, we got
09
some
to
unpacking to do.
Yeah, we have some unpacking to do. And at the time, I was friends with Brooke Ligertwood.
Okay.
And she was doing her Brooke Fraser stuff.
Wow.
And so I asked her, like, what do you think about if I ever put out music? You know, should I pick a different name, whatever? And she said, I definitely would. I would save your given name for doing worship stuff and just pick a fun artist name so that you can kind of separate them.
Yeah.
Because at the time she had some trouble getting into venues and stuff that were like, oh, you're a Christian artist because of Hillsong featuring her, you know.
Got it.
And so I started, like, I was in a mall one day and I was thinking about artist names. And at the time, this is old school, like iTunes on your iPod, you're scrolling, it's alphabetical. So I knew I didn't want something too far down the alphabet because I always stopped around F because I was listening to the Fray a lot. That's why.
Right.
So I thought, well, I like F. That's a good letter. And I love French things. So I was like, what's a French word? Like fleur came to mind.
Yes.
And then I love the band Coldplay. And I've always loved they have a 2-syllable name. So I needed an extra syllable and I thought of Fleurie. And then I didn't tell anyone for like 3 years, and then I put out my first Fleurie record.
But is Fleurie, does it mean something?
Mm-hmm. It means flourishing or in bloom.
Okay.
Yeah. And I felt the Lord on it. Like when it came to my mind, I felt God like, this is my word over you.
Yeah.
That is like what I've spoken over you.
And I love about people like you, because I just love the creative arts as a whole, and the beauty of all the things that are art, not just what I think sometimes in our faith we say we're allowed to love in the world of art. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like there's so many parameters that the church puts around art that I love conversations with people like you that have actually crossed over those parameters to set a new pace and a conversation for what the Lord does when you just give him your life period and when you give him your art period. So, but I want to get to your life in the Fleurie lane, but I want to go back to, I always love the history of people. You have such a strong, beautiful kind of way with the Lord that has to come with years of wanting to know Jesus and wanting to be in the presence of God. You keep yourself in church. You keep yourself serving in church. You're recognized at the Belonging as one of the worship leaders on stage. You co-write with them. You write worship songs as well as the pop side that you do. How did you get to where you are now in Nashville? You've recently gotten married. And so you from what I remember reading, you're a Michigan girl,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And is that where you found the Lord? Is that you grew up there? Tell us a little bit about your background. And man, Lauren, I want to find out too, where for you in your youth, where was music? Where was the percentage of music growing up with it that it became something that you knew you were going to do?
Oh, yes. Okay. So everything.
Yeah.
Yep. I grew up outside of Detroit, kind of a suburb, 30 minutes outside of Detroit. And my parents were always worship leaders at church. We were at small churches, so there was no staff worship pastor, but I feel like my dad would have been that if there had been. And my mom was always in kids ministry, and we were there every Sunday, and we could not wait. Like, we just loved it. Church was everything. Still is. So no one ever had to tell me, like, you know, the right thing to do is serve in church. It's like, where else would I be? Right. Like, it just became part of life. And music as well. We'd have the band practices at our house. My parents bought a little sound system so that they were practicing in our living room. And it was just, we lived for it. All the other band members would bring their kids. We'd all be in the basement playing, and the parents are like rehearsing. And it was just awesome.
Now, what denomination?
You know what? It felt non-denominational. Yeah. I feel like the first church that I was in till age 9 was, I actually couldn't even tell you. But the second one was, oh my gosh, Methodist.
Okay.
And then the last church that I was in up until graduating high school was non-denominational.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, keep going. So you're in this church. You're basically a church kid.
Oh, for sure.
And you love it.
Loved it. All my best friends were in church, and they were all homeschooled, but I went to public school, so I only saw them once a week, and I was like, Mom, let me be homeschooled.
Yeah.
But it was really good for me to go to school.
Big family, siblings?
One sibling, one sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Best friend since the day she was born. Like,
older, younger?
She's younger. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, total. Like, I was 3.5 when she was born, and my parents say that they took me to the hospital. My grandparents took me to the hospital. Yeah. And they put her on my lap, and my mom's like, you went into a different world.
Oh,
like, no one could talk to you. Like, you were just like, this is my best friend.
Wow.
And my
so
sister,
she's still
amazing.
your best friend.
Yeah, she is.
Wow.
Yeah, she lives here now too.
Wow.
Yeah. So we grew up around music, and around age 10, for me, my parents put us into piano lessons.
Okay.
And they were like, they came to me and my sister and said, you know, God has made it so clear there's a gift of music on your lives, and it's our job to help you, you know, flesh it out. And so,
man, that's amazing. The parents.
Yeah. I mean, my parents' like relationship with God is the foundation for mine, for sure.
Beautiful.
And they were like, so you got to do it for 6 months. If you hate it, you can quit. But we really doubt that will happen. And they even prayed into the right piano teacher, and we got this amazing woman who changed our lives. We never quit. And she was a believer, and had 9 kids. So she was the most patient woman ever.
Wow.
And I remember her telling me, so I started piano at age 10, and by 11, I started writing music. And the way I would write was like, I told my teacher, I took the left hand, so the chords basically of a song, and I would write my own right hand. And she was like, you should keep doing that. She kind of like pushed me. And then like by end of middle school, I was writing songs with lyrics, but I wouldn't tell anyone. So I would just play the whole melody in the right hand. And I never told anyone there were words because I was embarrassed. I didn't want them to.
What was it about music for you? What was it doing for you?
Oh my gosh.
Back then.
It was like a refuge.
Yeah.
Like, it was a place of expression that I could say what I needed to say to God in the secret place. That's really what it was. And I didn't want people to hear at that time. You know, I was uncomfortable with that. But I remember my piano teacher, she started letting me play my pieces in recitals.
Your originals.
Yep.
Wow.
And she looked at me once and she goes, do you want me to print the words too? And I was like, no, there are no words. And she goes, oh, okay. She knew. She must have been a Holy Spirit woman. She knew. But I didn't want her to print the words. And yeah, so I just would write music all the time just for myself.
What was your music about? Because I could still remember like the first song I ever composed and what it was about.
Yeah.
Did you like have topics?
I think it was mostly worship songs.
Okay.
And then it was me grappling with like, you know, changing friendships or this boy doesn't like me. It was just about anything I was thinking about, basically.
Yeah. That was your journal.
It was my journal. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So you're doing that. Finally, you start singing them with lyrics.
Well, yeah. So then get to age 17, senior year, and I got baptized and I got spirit filled. No one in the church could tell me what happened to me, but I came out of the water and I'm like, something just happened in the last 10 seconds. I wouldn't find out till college when someone explained to me, and then I received tongues and all those things. But I came up out of the water, and for the next few weeks, my friends at school were like, something is weird about you. Like, there is a smile that will not leave your face. Like, I feel like you could get the worst news ever and you'd be like, well, praise God. Like,
right.
And I was like, you're right. Like, there's something in me. And right after that happened, God told me to start singing my songs for people. Like, I could hear the voice of God for the first time.
Wow.
So clearly. And he would say, I want you to sing such and such song. And I'd say, okay. I would say yes, but I didn't know what that meant. And then I'd walk by a flyer on the high school wall that said, you know, talent show, tryouts today. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And it's like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Okay, so I stay after school. I go to the tryout, hoping I don't make it. Right. And I make it, and then I have to play. And it was just thing after thing like that, where he would just ask me to say yes before bringing the opportunity so that I knew I was supposed to take the opportunity.
So your high school years seemed to be kind of cultivated by hearing the Lord and walking out this, what you thought was a kind of a worship calling.
Yeah. But I would say that, like, I was all in for Jesus my whole life. And I would go down to get saved like all the time. And, you know, my parents and people are like, you are saved. You're okay. Yeah. But I was just like, I want him to know. Like, I want him. But I didn't really hear his voice or think that I heard his voice until those later high school years, you know, where it was like, I'm hearing you tell me, and then eventually tell me where to go to college and all these things.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to just ask you a question about this from your perspective. When you're in high school and college and you kind of have this encounter with the Lord and you're a church girl, you're growing up in church and you're writing music, most of it's probably worship centered, God centered, but then you're writing these little songs about breakups and you're writing these little storytelling songs about other things. Church girl, church probably 2 days a week, 2 nights a week or whatever. You understand all this stuff. Where's the breakthrough for you in not growing up with the stigma that it was going to be a demonic stronghold for you to write mainstream music? Like break down that for you, because you're still young enough to have grappled with that in your younger years. Specifically being in church all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did grapple with it, and I think there's still layers that I grapple with it today. But I mean, I do remember having a worship pastor at the church at the time kind of try to hint to me, like, you know, use your gifts for the Lord. Like, this is the right place to be singing. But what's also interesting is the same worship pastor, every week in church, we would do a special music, and it would be a secular song that painted to the congregation. We'd cover it, you know, someone on the worship team would sing it. And it would be to paint the picture of how the world sees something or what they say about something to set up the message of how God, what he says. We did it every single week for the years I was there. And I would sing a lot of them. You know, the Regina Spektors, the Sarah Bareilles, anything that suited me, I would sing. And so I think maybe there was something there that like kept me to know that that was okay, but that I could write songs in that style that were from the perspective of someone who's walking with the Lord. Yeah. But I also think God just protected me. Yeah. Like, you know, even in college, I remember having just so many mentors and different people older than me coming to me, giving me prophetic words of like, this is okay. This is your calling. Like, amazing.
So do you feel like you struggle with it more now than then, the more songs you write?
Yeah.
Because you predominantly are known for Fleurie.
Yeah. And a lot of those songs were written for TV shows
Yes.
of heavier, darker is a tough word to use because I don't mean dark in the demonic sense, but sad emotions, heavy emotions.
Right.
I think that's why I grapple with it still, because I'll go to the Lord and say, God, I don't want to in any way glorify darkness.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like writing a song about pain glorifies pain, or writing a song about tension or struggle, not like your own sin, your own humanity, is glorifying it. And time again, he will, speak back to me and say, no, like that's where I need more people. That's where I need people who have the maturity, who have the purity to like step in and be able to put expression to the human soul that needs expression.
Yeah.
That's the gift that you bring, you know, giving the world expression in a way that doesn't glorify it, but simply expresses it.
Yes. And I think more and more and more, God's doing something in the arts. I just believe it. I talk about it all the time. I don't want us limited. I think my thing is to encourage an individual who has a calling like this, or whatever it is, art, painting, film, whatever. That the biggest thing that you can gain is relationship with Jesus.
Yes.
If you've got relationship with Jesus, if you've got a personal communication line between the Lord and yourself, then when God asks you to do something, he's going to give you the understanding, the will, and the strength to do it. Yeah. But you can't just be like, God's with me, everything's fine. It's like, God, I need you to be with me. I need you to be, like it's a constant, like, God, show me, teach me, be there with me, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
I have to do that in the exhaustion sometimes of traveling to another church. I'm just like, give me grace. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
And then I realize I get there and I'm like, I'm so full of passion for the city and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, for giving me. It's a daily thing, right?
Yes.
But do you feel like that now that you're in it, because I want you to kind of finish too, you go to Hillsong College and have this conversation with Brooke, which that makes so much sense. You've got these two identities. So there's still a war between the two.
Yeah.
Is the war predominantly for you because there's guilt on the side of the church?
Sometimes. But what's interesting is I've never personally had anyone place guilt on me. Aside from like the very, very small comments I've said about a guy from a million years ago when I'm 17 and, needed discipline and needed mentoring. I mean, it's just funny how like I would get prophetic word after prophetic word at this college. I mean, if any guest speaker came, everyone was just waiting for them to call me out. It was embarrassing. Wow. It was to the point where I'm like in the back and they're like, you in the back, there's a calling on your life. And
wow.
Like,
so you heard that over and over.
Oh my gosh.
What were the particular prophetic words for you that you were like, whoa?
There was a few from my worship pastor and like the head of the worship department at Hillsong College, Aaron Puddle, amazing man of God. Through those 3 years that I was there was a couple that he gave me like in one of our classes, he'd be giving a bunch of people words. And one of them, he had this way where he'd walk back and forth and lock eyes with you until you realized it was you and just pace. Like that was just his personality. So he's pacing and I'm like, oh no. And I can see he's locked eyes with me. Doesn't even say my name. And he goes, you've been given a name in this world, not just a name of the Lord. He's like, you've been given a name and you didn't ask for it and you don't even want it. And that's why you've been given it. And it's time to begin to open yourself up to whatever it is that name is meant for you to carry. And I'm sobbing, because it's hitting me in my core. And I'm like, yes, I don't want people to think that I want this.
Yeah.
And there was another one that he gave me that was, he had a prophetic dream and he like shared it in front of the class. It was involving a few different students, but the part about me was he was like on a cruise ship and he was telling his buddy who was in the music industry in Australia. So that's why it made sense. He kept saying, I can't wait till you see who's about to come perform. I can't wait till you're going to love her. Huh. And he said, you came out. And this is before I've recorded any like Fleurie songs or anything. Yeah. And he gave me these specific words. The Lord actually just brought me back to this. He wrote an email to me like 15 years ago now. And he just brought me back to this a couple weeks ago. So it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
He said you were raw, edgy, but pleasant, covered in the Spirit of the Lord. So those words, like God brought me back to that and was like, it's okay to be raw. It's okay to be edgy if it's what I've called you to, not if you're doing it in order to like just be rebellious or just be like for the sake of showing people that you can, you know?
Yeah.
And I said to God again the other week when he brought it up, like, I'm so uncomfortable there. I'd rather be the perfect little Christian girl that just pleases everybody. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, I don't like ruffling feathers.
Do you get flack from the secular side when they know that you're a Christian?
No, I get flack from no one. That's what's so
it's just
crazy
all in your head.
Yes.
And do you think it's embedded in your I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
I mean, I think it's a deep fear of rejection. Like, I think it's putting yourself out there in front of people. The vulnerability is what I don't want to face. But it's just hilarious because I don't think I've really faced a lot of like hardcore in your face rejection.
Yeah.
And God has just been so kind to almost continually just bring when I need it, bring somebody. And my pastor, Alex Seeley, was a huge one who called out that on my life and said, I see Fleurie as a God calling. Like, don't lay this down, because she saw me starting to be like, maybe I should take these Christian record deals and maybe I should just sideline this, my early 20s. And she's like, I mean, take it for what it is. If the Lord's telling you differently, like, by all means, follow the Lord. But when she said it, it resonated. She's like, I see you as a light in the darkness, and that he's pairing these songs that you've written, that you're serving someone else's vision in purity. You're coming and saying, this is what pain feels like. You're not saying pain is awesome and we should make it our identity or whatever. But God's pairing it with TV shows that you probably won't allow yourself to watch. I'm like, correct.
Right.
But it's maybe the only bit of his presence that is going forth in a room of someone watching that show.
And I guess that's the point that I would love the church to hear really loud and clear. You know, there's so much fear but it's going to pull you in. It's like, give us a little bit more credit than that. So, okay, you're going through Hillsong. You come out of Hillsong, you come back here. You don't have a record deal. You're not being offered record deals. You start going to the Belonging and you just keep singing in church, right?
Well, actually, before the Belonging, so I moved from Michigan to Nashville a couple months after moving back from Hillsong.
Okay.
Belonging didn't exist. Alex and Henry hadn't moved here yet. They were going to move in like 6 months later, I think. And I was involved in a couple different churches just serving. Grace Center. I love Grace Center. Church of the City. When they planted, I was a part of them for a few years before Belonging. And I was working at a Barnes & Noble, the Vanderbilt one. So it was there. I was in their textbook department, which is the least nostalgic, fun part of that. It's like a warehouse with no music and just fluorescent lights. And I was like, oh man, I thought I was going to be in this like idyllic job. But I'm dusting books for like 8 hours a day, because there's like 2 weeks of the year, right? When they start their new semester that they're buying books. And the rest of the time you're just occupying a warehouse and shipping some books to different universities and stuff, packing boxes. So I'm dusting books by myself for another 8-hour day. And I say to the Lord, I'm so sorry, God, I feel ungrateful, but I don't want to be doing this anymore. And he's like, it's about time. Like, he'd been waiting for me to say that. And I'm like, yeah, but Lord, I'll do anything for you. And he's like, I know that. You don't have to prove that to me. And I'm like, I'd really like to be in music. And he's like, I'd really like you to be in music too. So he said, well, put something in my hand. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he said, if I told you I need recorded songs of yours in 2 weeks from now, like, you got to do it. You're going to get $1 million. What are you going to do? And I said, well, I've only been here like 6 months. I'll go back to Michigan because I don't know anyone in Nashville, really at the time. Couple like girlfriends from church, but they weren't in music. So I like text my friends back home who all had little bands, and somebody had recording gear in their house, and they're like, yeah, come on up in a few weeks and we'll come over every night after our 9 to 5s and we'll make you a little EP. That's what I did. And it was the Saturday night I drove back into town, And God had kept saying to me, put something into my hand and watch what I'll do. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And these weren't good recordings. I'm not being humble. They weren't. I was so undeveloped in every way, songwriting, singing, recording. But I drove into town Saturday night and Sunday morning. I was playing keys and singing BGVs at Church of the City. They were brand new, so they were hiring a different worship leader every week, cycling them through in a month. And Philip Leroux, do you know who he is?
I know who you're talking about.
He was leading worship, and he asked me, we had 3 different services a day that set up and tore down different locations. And so we had the whole day together with breaks. And he asked me 3 times, do you write music? Do you have anything I can hear? And between the second and third time, the Lord said, if he asks you one more time, like, this is it. This is what I'm trying to get you somewhere. And I'm like, what? Because I thought, oh, he's amazing. He's had record deals. I'm nobody. And so he asked me a third time, and I forwarded him the email with the songs that have just been recorded, not mixed, nothing. They're bad.
Risk.
And he listens to them right then and there in the green room in front of all the band guys. And I'm like, oh, no. This is my nightmare.
Yeah.
And he's on headphones. So he rips an ear out. He's like, we need to have a meeting. And that led to a publishing deal I am still in 11 years later.
Really? With which company?
Now it's Concord. It was called Razor and Tie, and they got bought by Concord.
Wow.
So it's a TV and film. So he sat me down. We had coffee. He's like, there's this whole world called sync.
Yes.
And
okay, explain sync for people that don't, because really you almost have to be in the music world to understand sync.
Right.
You know.
It just stands for synchronization. So it means like the songs that are used in TV shows, ads, promos. Anytime you hear music and see a visual, someone has licensed that song and paid the artist or the record label or whoever to use their song with their visual. I had no idea this world existed. I thought publishing deals were for authors. Like, I knew nothing. I was 21. I was so green. And he just said, how would you like your music to potentially be in TV shows? And I said, well, I mean, that'd be great, but how much do I have to pay them? And he's like, no, they pay you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Where's the catch? Like,
up to that, you weren't even thinking.
I had no idea. And I said, isn't this kind of like the ideal that everyone would want? And he's like, yeah, people move to Nashville and try to get these deals, but I have sent over your songs to my publishing company that he was signed to.
Yeah.
And they're really interested in seeing if they can do anything with them. And I'm like, well, sure, have at it. So he got his buddy to like mix them and make them sound a little bit better. And, and they just started getting placements. Like it was just the Lord, Yeah.
If you put something in my hand.
It blew my mind. And a lot of those songs, all of them were about my life. Because at that point, like, I wasn't getting briefs or anything yet. And it was like redemption for some of the most painful moments of my life that drove me to write a song I didn't want anyone else to hear.
Yeah.
Now giving other people a voice for their pain.
Right.
And it just mind blowing.
Do you remember the first placement?
I think it was an MTV placement.
Wow, back in the MTV days.
Yeah. I'm not sure what show it was. I mean, it could have been anything. But I remember just seeing this check for seeing that they were going to license it for $1,500. That was going to get obviously split
back then
up.
You were like, what?
I was like, that would take me months at Barnes & Noble. This is crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the way that the sync world kind of works is they license it. Mm-hmm. So they basically pay you a lump sum of what they want to use a song for. What happens when the movie goes crazy? Do you have
you don't get more.
You don't get any more.
But your streams are racking up. Yeah, because now people can Shazam. And so they don't own your music in any way, shape, or form. They just
license it for that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I found to be really interesting in sync is I would think the more something has been licensed, the less appealing it is to a music supervisor who picks the songs. Because it's like, we've heard that. Yeah. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a snowball effect. So once something has successfully helped sell, especially in promos, something 100 times, they're like, well, it's going to work. We know it's going to work because we've seen it work for other people.
Right.
So I have some old songs that just still get licensed that I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Awesome.
So when that starts happening, are you like, oh, maybe I should just start writing sync?
Well, yeah, because then I signed the publishing deal.
Did you sign it as Fleurie?
Yeah, I think under Lauren Strom. is what I signed as a writer.
Had you incorporated Fleurie
Yes.
yet? Okay.
Well, actually, no. I had those recordings that he heard hadn't come out, hadn't been released.
Yes.
And I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to be talked out of doing Fleurie. So I just went online and put them on TuneCore and put them up as Fleurie. And everyone was like, who's this? I'm like, this is me.
Oh my gosh. All because you have that anxiety and that fear that somebody's going to talk you out of doing
Which
something.
is true because in hindsight, Philip said, I would have talked you out of it. My parents were like, yeah, it seemed really weird at the beginning. Like, I knew it. I knew people wouldn't get it until they saw it all put together with like the pictures. And
Lauren, that is so great to just even for the young artists out there who have these massive dreams, but every time they vocalize their dreams, somebody around them's like, well, I don't know. I have to be careful of it too, with just like him seeing how hard it is, but he just wants to do it. It's like, it's not that easy. It's not, you do as a parent, as somebody that's been down the road, you want to like, just be like, let me caution you. But I really feel like sometimes we should put all the beautiful things up front and throw caution to the wind in a sense, because when you're thriving in music and it's all you want to do and it's all that you think about doing, you really want somebody to come along and blow wind on that.
Right.
So that you don't feel like you're crazy. Because I think just even a couple minutes ago when you talked about your pain being the resource for somebody else to understand how to get through their own pain.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I just want to thank Amazing Life Foundation for making what I do here on this podcast possible. They are my rally team, my biggest supporters. Without Amazing Life, this podcast would not be coming to you. They've just got this insane team of editors. I've just had the best of the best, and I want to just give them a shout out. There's a lot of beautiful things that are coming out of Amazing Life Foundation, and I want you to stay tuned for some of those things. But I just want to shout out to them and thank them for making this podcast possible and bringing this podcast to you every Wednesday, and letting me do what I love to do. I think music is such a merciful thing from God. The arts is such a merciful act from God. God didn't need, some thing to get creative. He didn't need, some drug or hit off a joint or whatever to get creative, like some of our excuses are. But he creates a whole world, and then he allows us the mercy of painting a piece of art or writing a song to get through what we're in a dilemma that we can't get through. So I just think it's such a merciful thing that when you see it like that, and you also see it, just the conversation of crossover, what we call crossover or sync, being licensing for film and TV. It's like, that's your small world of evangelism.
Yes.
That somebody who writes a song much like yours, but has no relationship with God, there's going to be a different feeling on that song than there is somebody. And it's like, she doesn't have to say, or he doesn't have to say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in a sync song, but the spirit of that rides in the melody line. And that's what I think is so powerful with what you do, because you've had such a great track record with it. I mean, when those first few were signed and you start writing, how often were you seeing them picked up?
I mean, it was a slow and steady kind of increase.
Yeah.
But everything you just said, my mind is like turning on, because I hated co-writing. So I signed this pub deal not really thinking, they're going to want me to write with other people. I'm thinking, I just go back in my room, write all these songs, take them to a band.
Oh no, girl. You got to get in there.
I had no idea. It was so good that I had no idea, because I probably wouldn't have signed it.
Amanda Cook and I have talked about this.
She and I have too.
Writing with who you love, not who you don't know.
My goodness. But God, so for probably 2 years, no joke. And because it was doing well, they kept upping their options. So it wasn't like they were letting me out of the deal. They picked it up again for another year. So for 2 years, almost every co-write, I'd get in the car after and cry and say, God, I'm not cut out for this. I feel insecure the whole time. It was a lot of like me as a 22, 23-year-old writing with men in their 30s, just the two of us. And I mean, it wasn't even their fault. I just had no idea. I had no confidence to come in and go, no, this is what I'd like to do. So if they didn't like an idea, I panic and I'm like, I'm terrible.
And you're rarely at that age in a room with two people that are mature enough to be like, hey, what do you want? What's going on in your head? You know, asking the 20-year-old what they want.
Oh, now in my 30s, I love doing that with 20-somethings because I'm like, wait, let me be for you what I didn't quite have.
Yeah.
But every time that I would ask God, you know, can I just go to my publisher and say, I'll stay in this deal, but I just want to write solo or whatever. And he would say exactly what you just said. No, this is your evangelistic realm. When else are you going to be around non-believers? Like, it really is like, when else are you going to have a vulnerable conversation with a non-believer? Never. And so it's not always that you're there with this, like, you know, can I pray for you and put my hand on your belly and pray for God to like bring you a child? Like sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But it's more so that you're just carrying his presence and you come in and you're like, yes, I'm the artist. And maybe I have all these artist wants and needs of listen to me and draw out the gold in me. But over and over and over to this day, God's like, you're not here as the artist. You're here as a missionary. That is your calling. And like when he gave me that revelation and that word missionary, it was flipped everything.
Yeah.
And I went in and I was like, if we get a song, we get a song. If we don't, we don't. But I answered to God, was I a missionary today? Or was I a tormented artist today? You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is alongside, like, these are in the years when I am starting to be at Belonging and having that mentorship from women that I had never really had. I had some cool conversations with Brooke for sure.
Yeah.
And a couple women in Australia, but not ongoing discipleship. And now I'm, you know, walking into a season where I've got women who've been in the music industry and women who've been married to guys in the music industry who are like, call me after these rights and let's process. Wow. And so it's not just me and the Lord now, it's a community that's helping me walk through this and like helping me to rise up and be like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can be mature in the Lord by actually walking with him, you know, and going deeper and processing harder things and not running from them.
Yeah. Do you like co-writing now? Like,
love it.
Do you like it more in worship or do you like it just the same in you do?
Now I feel free and it's so much more fun to have somebody else bring something as the starting point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I feel like I get stuck in the same 4 chords on the piano that I always go to and the same melodies. This way I can bring all of who I am, but combine it with all of who somebody else is. And we can create something fresh and new.
When was your work with Tommy Prophet, was that kind of a bigger breakthrough for you? How did you, he's just a genius.
Oh my goodness.
I would love, I don't know if he does it, but I would love it if he just took a young artist a year and cultivated something with them.
He does
like,
a lot.
Oh, I need to get a hold of him because I'm like, I want him to be with Justice. I want him to get, because I think he'd be so good at just that. Because to me, he's just brilliant.
He is.
He's like a brilliant mind.
Oh, and he just loves the Lord. Like that's where it's all bubbling up from, is this what we're talking about. He talks to Jesus and it's just all these ideas are bubbling up.
Now, did you start with the birth of a king with him? Is that where your relationship began?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Way back.
And is he before NF?
No.
NF was before.
I met him basically through NF.
Okay.
So it was like 2015 that I was in meetings, as I was mentioning much earlier, about like potential Christian projects. Yeah. So they were, you know,
you said that.
Well, because they didn't
record label deals.
They just didn't pan out. But there was a label that wanted me and a few other girls in town to create like a girl band. You know, was the idea.
Yeah.
And it never happened. But I was in some meetings, and one of the guys at the label said, "Well, we just signed this hip hop kid, Lauren. I think you would love him." And I'm like, I don't listen to hip hop, but I looked him up. This one video on YouTube, and I just was so drawn to him. And he's from Michigan too, NF.
Okay.
So I go on Facebook. We have mutual friends, of course, you know, Michigan musicians.
Yeah.
And I just send him a DM like, hey, I don't know anything about hip hop, but I've heard these Skylar Grey and Eminem collabs. You know, I could do something like that with you if you'd ever want to. And he's like, I'm going to be in Nashville next week. I've never co-written. Let's do it.
Wow.
So he comes to my apartment and he's like, hey, I actually have an idea for a song, like the concept of it, and I'm going to tell my whole story of abuse, my mom committing suicide, all these things. He's like, it might get a bit intense in here because I'm going to start like, he just has to externally flesh it out. And I'm like, sorry, I met you 5 minutes ago. This was crazy. And like, lo and behold, he's just like, hits record on his phone, starts like spitting out all these bars. We both were talking about how we love the movie Inception. So that was kind of the thought for the song called Mansion, of like this house that, you know, is your mind. And I don't know, we write this song in a few hours. We go to lunch with that executive from the label and we sit down to get tacos with him and his family. And Nate goes, yeah, so we just wrote the title track of my record and Lauren's going to sing on it. And I'm like, sorry, what? And the guy's like, what? And he's like, because he's so confident in what he's doing. He's just like, no one's going to, I'll walk away from this deal if you're not going to put this record out. Like, I'm putting this record out. And the guy's like, all right. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then this label decides, they're like, okay, well, Lauren's doing sync and she's doing well with it. We've got a couple other like people we know in Nashville, Sam Tenez, trying to think of who else, that we want to put on a sync camp and get some of our people to do sync. And Tommy Prophet was signed because of NF. He was producing for NF. And so they did their first sync camp. And I hadn't done much in the trailer world, like what we mostly do now. At all. I'd done a lot of in-show.
Like that means, for people that don't understand that. Movie trailers, like
cinematic, gigantic sounds, hits.
Yeah.
I had been doing seriously
every trailer
is just hits on hits, and it's a guy on a keyboard going boop, 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 boop. And it sounds massive.
That is hilarious.
But it's a different kind of songwriting than the singer-songwriter indie girl thing. So I wasn't confident in it at all. And I didn't want to go to this.
Yeah, because they're not full songs.
Well, sometimes they are. Yeah. But it's like, you need descriptive words, but you can't say too many specific things. Because if you say, red scarf and there's a blue scarf in the image, they won't use it. You got to just be careful. So I didn't know anything about Tommy, but I was pulling up to the studio that day and I didn't want to go. Like everything in me was like, I'm going to fail. And God just is like, pull out your phone. And he gives me this one little lyric. Yeah. And it was, soldier, keep on marching on. That's all I had. And I hit end and I walked in. And Tommy's like, so I've never done trailers, but I downloaded the Complete Ultimate Bundle last night, which is complete with a K. It's like a sound library. It was the most basic one you could kind of get from like Guitar Center at the time. Yeah. And he's like, so I think we're good to go. And I'm like, I love your confidence. Let's go. And I'm like, well, I have this one lyric. And we got given a brief about 33. The movie was called 33 for the trailer. 33 coal miners, true story, trapped in the mines. We remember this from like 10, 20 years ago. And I'm like, what do you think about this? Soldier, keep on marching. He's like, that's perfect. And he's like, I can hear the whole song. So he just turns around, starts building this whole track. Yeah. And then turns around and goes, by the way, I've never done a trailer either. So like, what have we got to lose? And that is still maybe our most played song. Yeah, it's a great song. Oh, and then we didn't get the trailer. We pitched it for, we were so bummed. It was a very small movie. Yes. But then we got a Will Smith trailer like months after. And we were like,
was that did that make the Will Smith trailer? That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called Concussion was the movie.
Yes.
Football movie. And then Tommy and I were like, we need to keep working together. But he was still living, he's from Michigan too. He was still living in Michigan, coming down.
Living in Nashville then.
He would come down once every 6 months or so and do a week with some artists here. And I had some songs from college that I had never shown anyone because they were cinematic. Like now I could hear them and I'm like, that's what these were for. From reading books like The Hunger Games and stuff, I'd write these songs,
Of course.
Love that series.
Yeah.
So I started bringing them to Tommy, these half songs, and being like, want to finish this with me? And we had such a good time. And it was always like he could play a couple chords and either I'd hear the whole song over it or vice versa. Yes. And that's when I started loving co-writing. Like that was literally the turning point where I realized I just had to find my people and I had to find my own confidence. Yes. And it's been so fun.
I think that's such a great, you have to find your people. Mm-hmm. You just, every character and personality in a room, sometimes they don't. Yeah. And there are those of us as songwriters that I'm not the kind of person that's going to fight for a lane. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I'm in there with another lyric genius.
Me too.
I'm not going to fight for the lyric lane.
Just fit into the holes, like kind of find what's needed.
To fit into what's needed, or the melody lane. Sometimes it's like when none of those things are there, except for production, and then you feel like you're having to do it all.
Yeah.
That's a little bit harder because then your brain gets stuck the other way.
Yeah.
But finding the people that you all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Oh, this is I'm challenged by the other, but I don't enjoy it as much. You know, and then there are those moments, and you probably have them too a lot, and you'll keep having them as new relationships that you meet that you're like, oh my gosh, you're so fun to write with. And you're like, oh, there's another one that comes, you know.
People who get excited by who you are and what you do. Like I always tell younger, like teenagers and 20-somethings in our church who want to do music, because we're in Nashville. So a lot of them have grown up with parents who do it and they want to do it. I'm like, it's more important to find someone who genuinely loves what you do than someone who's as talented as you even. So like find the kid in the youth group who's building tracks, even if they're not good, who will spend hours with you working on it and let you help mold it. And
that's
if
so
you
good.
find someone who's, I mean, it's great to work with both when you have the chance, someone who's more accomplished than you and more confident in their craft than you. It's good, but sometimes those people are more focused on continuing to develop and put out their sound than they are you finding yours. So I'm always like, if you can do both, but if you have to pick one, pick the less developed person who really cares.
Do you feel like too that your sound has solidified through the years, changed a bit, that you're finding more about what you can do? Like,
I don't know. I am a personality who loves everything. Like I used to think before I was married, like if I meet a guy who wants us to move to Africa, let's go.
Go to Africa.
I can get excited about almost anything. And so I've got a lot of album ideas that like are all, I mean, not to the level of like I'm trying to make a rap album or something, you know, all within kind of alternative pop. But I think I'm still kind of grappling with that, like in this season, conversations between me and my husband, who's producing my newest record, have been, and we're only 2 years married, only known each other for 3-4 years. But he's known my music for a long time, and I've obviously been making it for a long time. Our conversations have started being like, is Fleurie a brand that has a sound that we need to continue to honor and then find a new lane for some of the other sounds that are coming through you? Or is Fleurie where everything's supposed to go through? Like genuinely. Because when I put out the cinematic ones through Fleurie, the fans love it. And when I put out the more indie pop ones, they're like, no, that's cool. But it's not the same. And so I just want to grow in like stewarding it. And like I said, like honoring what it is that God created. Like I didn't have a plan for it to be a cinematic sound, but maybe he did. And maybe that's just, I mean, it's fun making those. Like I'm not complaining. But also, is there an outlet for the rest of the creativity?
But don't you feel like too that if you trap yourself doing one thing or thinking that you're this way, that you almost will start limiting yourself down the road for what the Lord maybe wants to bring?
I know.
That might be different. I know that I've lived enough life to see those things where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I never poo-pooed that, you know, because, you know, one day my dream is to sit on a stool in a smoky club and sing Billie Holiday. You know what I'm saying? I would have never done that, and I don't sound like that, but I can. And so to have all these little things that you can kind of, you know, they used to call my voice a lot of producers around when I was young said, oh my, she's the chameleon. Because if they wanted me to sing this, I could sing this.
Oh, totally.
But
well,
then
that's what sync is, for sure.
I found the one lane, and it always felt like the Lord was like, don't gridlock in that lane, because if I call you to something else or something, you won't be able to do it. So I think your voice will continue to mature, don't you think? Totally. But even the fast-pacedness of genres of music. And I mean, you bring up rap, like because I got a rapper living upstairs, it's like that genre of music is so widely spanning out now that it's sticking its face in country and all different kind of things, which I kind of find kind of fascinating musically.
It's fun. How
that, changes and how music actually creates the dynamic of a culture and a generation. Those things are fascinating to me, like research fascinating, to go down those roads. Hey, a little segue here to just remind those of you who really love what the podcast is carrying, love what I do. You know that I mentor, you know that I work with creative and artists. We are in some exciting things this year with my nonprofit, Wearing Justice, but I can't do a lot of these things unless I have help and donations. We are a charitable organization, a nonprofit, and it's Christian education based. And if you are out there and you love to donate to things that not just inspire people, but heal people while people are being inspired, would you consider donating to my nonprofit, Wearing Justice? If you just click this QR code that you're seeing on the screen, you can donate and give any amount of donation. It was greatly appreciated. I would so appreciate it because I can keep doing what I feel like God's called me to do and really keep believing in artists everywhere and how God is using the arts to heal people's heart. And I love that. I just love what I do. I want to keep this up, but I need your help to do it. So would you consider today making a donation to Wearing Justice and help keep this all up and running? But I do think it's like your pop indie sound. Mm-hmm. I think of Halsey. Yeah. I love her. If you separate Halsey on some of her early recordings, like they're my favorite. That's my favorite Halsey. Oh. But then you throw her in other things, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan. Right. But then when she went, when she did Castle for, she did Snow White. Oh, the Castle, the song, was it called Castle?
I think so.
I just was like, okay, because it sounded very Tommy Prophet.
Yes.
But I was just like, okay, I like Halsey cinematic. Like, I love that. Yeah. But her voice is very, very unique and very different.
Right.
And you have that kind of real special, unique kind of quality about your voice. So how do you keep yourself not trapped?
I mean, I just have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So I don't ever feel, it's not even when I'm saying that question about what Fleurie should be, I don't even feel trapped by the answer potentially being that Fleurie should be a cinematic brand.
Right.
It just means I'll find a new name to put on. Like, I'll never stop putting out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, sorry, I didn't even finish that sentence. I'll never stop putting out all the music that God's giving me unless he says, don't put it out.
Yeah.
Because I go back to the very first thing, like put something in my hand. And sometimes, like he has talked me through this before of, Lauren, sometimes something's very precious to you and you want to be acknowledged for that thing because you feel like this is a huge part of your heart that you just want people to say, I see that, I embrace it, I agree or whatever. And he's like, and that might be for one person, but then there might be something else that's like on the perimeter of who you are, like at the very edge of, I can tap into that somehow resonates with millions of people. Right, and he's kind of, I almost said reprimanded, but not in a negative way, just convicted me like, don't despise that like he as God gets to choose what needs to go where.
Yeah.
And that just kind of like reminds you can't be looking to people to feel seen, you know, like even your closest friends. I mean, there's songs that I'm like, this is my soul, I'm crying. And my husband will be like, oh yeah, I like it. You know, I'm like,
and you're like,
what? I'm like, don't you see, this is literally me as a song. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's not like the best song you've ever written, but it's great. And at the end of the day, like, that's not bad or wrong of him to say. I'd rather him be honest.
Right.
But the Lord cherishes every note that comes out of my mouth. You know, he cherishes me. That's why he's the one that I fall down and worship every day and not my husband.
Yeah,
like, he's worthy of that because he gives a love that is so far beyond. And it's the only satisfying one. So it just will remind me like, oh no, I'm operating in my flesh again. And I'm wanting acknowledgement from man to fill a hole that it never can. Yeah. But going back to like, I feel like God's given me a ton of ideas and they need to be expressed and like flow through me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just for me in my room alone to finish a song and go, oh, that just felt good to like get that out to the Lord. Sometimes it's for millions of people, but I can't know until I let the song leave my lips, leave my pen, and then go, okay, Lord, does this come out? Sure. You know, should it come out under a different name? Maybe in the future, that's a smart plan for me. I don't know yet.
How is it with, because you've had so much success with that now. You've got, I couldn't even name off the list of all the TV shows that you've gotten.
So crazy. When
you have more of that happen, how hard is it for you to pull away from the worship side and be just writing that stuff?
I don't know. Like, I've not found that challenging for some reason. I've just found that, like, at this moment in my life, I'm not signed to like a worship pub deal or something. So I'm writing with friends. I'm writing with spiritual family just whenever they invite me to, you know, or if I have a song idea and I'm like, oh, I should take this to so-and-so because I think we could finish this and maybe pitch it to our church. Like by pitch it, I just mean see if our church wants to sing it. If our pastor thinks this would be beneficial for us.
Yeah.
So I'm doing worship way less than I'm doing the other stuff, the sync / pop. But I don't find that it feels like whiplash, but maybe that's because I'm just in church every week and it's like we get together and
I don't think it should feel like whiplash.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like it's all still unto God and I'm just, my purpose is different. Like if I'm sitting down to write for a Grey's Anatomy type show, I understand the characters, at least like the overview. I know like there's complicated relationships. People are walking through tension, you know, so I'm kind of like, I need to write a song about what it feels like to maybe, I remember writing one about how you're holding back your pain next to the hospital bed of somebody who is in worse pain than you in your mind. I don't want them to also have to carry my grief. So I'm trying to be put on a brave face for them. You think of these like scenes. Well, same thing. When I go into a worship rite, I'm thinking the setting is a group of people from ages 0, 1 to 90 to 100, all needing to unite in a moment and lift their hearts to the Lord. That's the setting. Yeah. Those are the parameters.
Right.
So
that's so good.
You just, And I think that's what makes writing about, when I do these solo records that are not sync, like what I'm putting out right now, it's almost so much harder because I have to create my own parameters. Yeah. No one's creating them for me. Right. But it's like freeing in a way too. It's like we could do anything, but at the end of the day, we don't want our album to sound like the kitchen sink. Right. Everything in the kitchen sink. Like we want it to sound like it had a purpose and a direction.
But you're involved in, you're at it long enough now to where in production you could be like, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. That's not how I hear it. I hear it like this and this, where you can add all this stuff. Are you that involved with the way you do your videos?
Oh yeah.
And how, I figured
way more on the visuals.
She's super creative. Yeah.
I really enjoy, I like production on the music side, but I really enjoy letting a producer shine. Yeah. Like I actually love that because I feel like I'm always going to be heard and seen. My voice is on it. Every lyric was written by me. The melodies were predominantly written by me. So I don't usually speak up unless I really dislike something, but normally I choose someone that I like their work. So I really like getting out of the way there and just letting them make choices and create this thing out of what I've created. But with the visuals, I have a very like clear vision. Yeah. And it's hard to sway me.
You can kind of feel that.
I don't know why. I just love doing them.
You released your little all your tangerine stuff this summer, and I was like, that is so creative. You know, and I was like, I bet you she had a hand in this, and she was probably like, let's fill a pool full of oranges.
My parents have a pool, and
that's the best.
Someone like the guy who was writing with me and Jordan, my husband, Chase is his name. 3 of us got together to write, and Jordan and I are both piano players, mostly. We dabble on guitar. So Chase is a guitarist. He started playing those chords, and I went into this like dashboard confessional headspace. Like when I was writing, there's a lyric, it's my favorite one. It says, if loving you's a crime, then lock me up, I'll do the time. And I said it to them as a joke. I was like, this isn't really good. But I was hearing Chris Carrabba, Dashboard, going like, "Fluffy you, a crime, then lock me up." And I'm hearing it and I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm backtracking all this back to Tangerine. But I said it and Chase goes, well, just sing it like Fleurie. So I do. And he's like, well, now it sounds like Fleurie. And it's a really cool Fleurie song that we wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't thought of Chris Carrabba. And then so I keep singing and I just sing. I literally just sing in whatever's coming to my head. And I go, tangerine, it tastes like summer. And then I'm like, well, I guess the song's called Tangerine.
That's the
So
best.
it wasn't this like genius, like, oh, we're going to do this. We just had a song that happened to be called Tangerine. And
but that's the funnest.
It's
when
the fun.
Stuff like that just drops down from the atmosphere.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's the best.
Yeah. And calling my parents going, guys, can I bring like 500 oranges into your pool? And they weren't at all surprised because I've been like this my whole life.
Where do you get 500 oranges?
Costco. It did cost me hundreds of dollars, but I was getting the venue for free. You know, everyone was doing things for pretty cheap for me. So.
And then how do you get them all out of the pool? You just scoop?
We threw them all. They live on this like 5 acres of land that's kind of like a drop off past their backyard. So there's a fence, you know?
Oh. So you just threw them out there to go back to the earth.
Everyone was having, you know, at some point.
Did you film all that?
No, we didn't. We totally didn't. It was the next day. We were like getting them all out and throwing them. And then my mom had been out of town that day and she's like, oh my gosh, we're going to have deer coming up right up to our house now. And I was like, oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. She's like, don't do that anymore.
Wow.
Because like she doesn't want like a lot of wild
I
animals.
love a creative idea. Like you light me on fire with the creative idea. So I was all over that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're gonna drop this. Talk about this next record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can pull in my memory, because my last download of you was Super Tropicali.
Mm-hmm.
That was your last record,
That's
right?
my last record.
That was actually a cool record.
Thank you.
Why has it been so long since you've made a record?
Well, that record was very difficult. It was fun to make and it was like easy to make. Made it in 2020. So I was like just me and a guy and a girl in a house. The three of us almost made the whole record.
So great. Yeah.
Well, they played everything and we had one guitarist come in, but you know, we were like testing every week. It was during that time of life. So we couldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. But there was a lot of like hype in my little circle about it that just didn't actually pan out in the real world. Like there were a lot of big labels and whatever, you know, this is the coolest thing we've heard, whatever. Yeah. And then everything just kind of didn't happen. And it was taking me a long time to get over that. And I met my husband and also parted ways with my manager of like 6 or so years.
Got it.
And it was just so much to process that I needed to like breathe a little bit.
Got it.
And yeah, it was just
tough.
tough.
That's wisdom.
I'm still proud of the record, but it was like I put so much into it because I had so much kind of hype, you know, around
it. When you listen to that record, you're like, how come this isn't all over the place?
Oh,
like that's because I remember downloading that,
mm-hmm.
and you know, COVID was kind of like that. That season was a season that you just listened to a lot of music because you were bored.
I know.
So I loved it. We would walk to it. And I was always surprised that it wasn't like...
It really felt spiritual, and it's hard to... There's so much we can't understand, and I'm not trying to like make sense of it. But don't you
sometimes it's like... I mean, God knows what's going to do it and what's not going to do it. And sometimes I just stop asking questions because I'm like, you know what, maybe you're saving me from something. Maybe maybe you're keeping me from something. I have to believe that more than being bummed out, because the music industry is so fickle.
It's such a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. And the thing is, most of us are so insecure when we get in here. And it's like the most insecure people going to the entertainment industry. And maybe it knocks the breath out of us. And for some of us, and for others of us, I guess it just teaches us to have tough skin.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
And before, I just want to, no, I'm going to wait for that question because that's going to be a doozy. So you're in the middle of this one that won't come out until next
spring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've got 3 singles out and we're literally just in the weeds of all the other songs right now.
What's your hope for this one?
Okay, so we wrote out. It's so much more fun doing this with my husband than by myself.
Good.
I mean,
Where did you meet him?
At church on Valentine's Day.
Boy. Oh.
You won't believe this. Actually, there's a song I wrote that's on the record called Valentine. And we keep toying with putting it out on Valentine's Day, but it doesn't feel like a single to us, so I don't think we're going to. But I wrote this song in 2018 on my husband's birthday. I found in my little notes in my phone. And we met on Valentine's Day at DNA at church. I was singing, he was doing sound. And then we got engaged the next Valentine's Day. My parents had gotten engaged on Valentine's Day. My mom has a heart-shaped ring. I got a heart-shaped ring. Wow. Which I always wanted anyways, but it was such a cool God story of like waiting a long time and then getting this really great story. And anyways, so Jordan and I getting to do this together and having someone else like speak into the vision and get excited with you. So fun.
Because he's a musician, producer, has been for a while.
Yes, but he was working at The Belonging on staff when I met him because he moved back right at the end of 2019 and then he's from Buffalo, New York. So he moved back here after like, long story, and was going to start getting back into production and, networking, meeting artists and stuff. And then the world shut down and our church offered him a job, which he took. So he came off staff when we got married to kind of, make music with me and other people. But yeah, so we had our mission for this record, which was very prayerfully and like joyfully made, was to have fun, to make it the best that we could, like to give it our all. I'm gonna forget the third one. I don't remember what the third one was, but we were like, we need to keep these things central. Like if we're not having fun, I think maybe the third one was just to do it with our friends. Like that it was just like, we weren't reaching for like, who's the biggest name we can get or whatever, even though a lot of our friends are in their own big names. But, that wasn't the purpose. And that wasn't the feeling in the room when we recorded these songs. It was just like a decade of friendship in a room. Like it was so cool. So that's the focus for this, is like, we want to capture this moment in time and we want to put it out there and see whatever God wants to do with it. Do
you take the expectations and put them in a different place or
We're trying to. Yeah. It's so hard because you start working and then you're like, well, if we lean the song this way, then, it could be sync. And if we lean the song this way, it could be whatever. And, and we're both such achiever personalities. So we're trying our best to just like feel like two kids having fun, throwing paint at a canvas and giving it to our Heavenly Father and going, look what we made. You put it up in whatever house or museum or whatever you want to. That's the goal.
Is there a promise you feel like God's made to you that hasn't happened yet?
That's a crazy question.
I mean, you've got so much prophecy around your life.
I don't think there's there's dreams in my heart, but I am at an age where I'm not sure that every dream in my heart is really what is my best, for like the best for me, Like I used to want to really tour and like play big venues. And I mean, if that happened organically, of course, that'd be awesome. Yeah. But I used to really put in a lot of effort towards like getting there. And I don't know, I guess it's different now. You're like thinking about, when do you want to start having kids someday? And all these different, your mind is in a different place in your 30s and then getting married. And who would you say, if I could open for them? I would have opened for them. Recently, a friend of mine said this and I went, oh, that's so true. I think Haim would be a really cool band for me to open for.
Wow.
I think that would just be kind of this fun indie pop world that's pretty organic sounding. But
would you ever want to do anything with Bon Iver?
Oh my gosh, yes. No, if I ever see Justin Vernon, I will just walk up to him and hug him, and it will be so inappropriate.
Why don't you reach out and ask him if he wants to collab?
I don't think he would.
I mean, you could just reach out. I've thought about that for a while. It's like, geez, you get with Bon Iver.
You don't understand. He changed
Maybe
my
that's a prophetic word.
I receive it. No, in college, like I came from high school age of like listening to predominantly Christian and worship music. And then in college, I started like Coldplay and John Mayer and just started listening to some mainstream acts. And Bon Iver like wrecked me. Yeah. I listened. I know every lyric to like those first albums.
There's something about the musicianship and the production of what he does that is so nostalgic and so timeless to me.
Oh,
you know,
I know. Even do you know the vocoder that he uses? This is like allegedly, right? This is like, I've read this on a blog. I don't know if this is, he didn't tell me himself, but it is software, or it might be analog, created by a man who doesn't sell it or license it. He has to operate it himself. So like Justin Vernon goes to this guy's house or brings him in. And
has him do it there.
Yes. Like, it's like, you can't get it. It's not like Imogen Heap saying, you know, this is the sampler I used or whatever.
It's not surprising.
That's why it sounds so good.
Interesting. Oh. Okay, good.
No, I love him.
Anybody else?
Oh my goodness.
That you either like to open for, or that you would, if you found yourself in a room writing for them, that you'd be like, you'd be speechless.
My gosh. I should know the answers to these. I mean, I'm so fascinated by Jacob Collier.
Oh, wow.
That genius
legit musician. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is I would just want to sit there and watch him. Like, I would just. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'd have anything to give him, but I just would love to like see him in action. I mean, Coldplay, Chris Martin is like my favorite writer. Brandon Flowers of The Killers.
Yeah.
That would be like, these are artists that would never take an outside cut because they are the writer.
Say never.
True.
Come on, man.
But I used to write a lot of songs like for Brandon. Okay, true. I wanted to be prepared with a couple songs in case I ever met Brandon, because I thought that was way more feasible than Chris Martin. And I'm like, if I ever meet him, I want to be like, here's a voice note of something I wrote for you. But they just sounded like Killer's ripoffs. Like, they weren't great songs.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool, though. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, Tribes community. Welcome again to Daily Devotional Cooking in the Kitchen with Rita. I've had a lot of people ask me for, when are you going to do this? And when are you going to do that? And when are you going to do this? Well, I have created a platform on my website under the tab Community, where you will be then taken to Tribes. And I am inviting you to be part of my tribe. We are doing Bible studies and daily devotionals and throwing some cooking shows in there on my favorite recipes.
Bon appetit.
Doing mentorships and songwriting things that we're going to be uploading. So if you want to be part of my tribe, part of my community, please go to ritaspringer.com, click on that community tab. On that, there is a subscription tier that you can subscribe to where you can get different content.
Every song has a story.
If you want more content, join my community. Okay, here's my I hope this doesn't turn into Debbie Downer.
No.
When you're in the position as a woman artist, worship leader, sync writer, mainstream artist, and you see stuff happen because you understand the Grammy side of things more than you probably understand the Dove side of things, even though you understand the Dove side of things. Yeah. I think there's a difference between the Grammys and the Doves. With all of this recent drama over should we be getting awards as Christian artists for, and you know, when I had a conversation with Steph, we've talked about having that conversation just about that again in a podcast, so that the 10 minutes or so that we talked about it on that particular podcast isn't misunderstood. It was a big thing of misunderstanding it. Because I think for me, my tension has always been reverent worship songs. Should they be in a worship category, or should they just stay in this really beautiful holy place of just, these are songs in the church that we sing to the Lord, and they're not in this lineup. I think that's a conversation. The CCME, other stuff, it's like, make an award for it, put a chain around your neck, whatever, you know. Grammys to me, I never equated, because it's like a I wanted to be an actress. So if I'm like, heck yeah, I would have gone up for my Oscar.
Yeah,
you know
of
what
course.
I'm saying?
Of course.
Because there's an achievement in that. Like
Yes.
you would get an achievement for being a real estate agent.
Right.
Or you would get achievement for something. For me, it's like, good at your job. You're really great at your job. Great for
There's
you.
nothing wrong with celebrating.
Yeah. The tension for me was always in songs that you write for the Lord.
Right.
And that you feel the presence of God coming in, which I know it's a big topic.
Gosh.
How do you, because your world is primarily sync, for what you probably get mostly paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no problem getting an award for that.
Right.
But when you go back to the church, how do you see that? Where your lean is in the mainstream artistry, but your heart is still so deeply focused on the presence of God. Where's the tension for you in all those?
Man, I don't feel like I just got nominated as a writer the first time this year for with Belonging, for A Mighty Name of Jesus. And so we went, and I was obviously like, I hope we win. That'd be so fun.
So great. Yeah.
But I didn't really understand much about it. Like I had never been before. With Grammys, I'm like, that is a whole, I don't have a better word for it than rigged, system where it's not like, of course I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, I got a Grammy if I got a Grammy. Right. But I don't think that I think there's a whole other politics and stuff that goes on behind it. And I don't know if that's the same with the Doves. I don't know. I had never even seen it before. So this year was my first time, seeing it. And I thought that this year's were you there?
No.
Okay.
No,
this year, there was a lot more intentionality around actually spirit-filled moments that were happening. I don't know if that was all televised, but the atmosphere of the room to me felt like a lot of people wanting to encounter the Lord together and being excited to be in a room together. But when you ask that question, it's like, I don't know. I don't know that I could ever answer that.
Well, it's almost it's kind of refreshing that you don't.
Yeah.
Because it tells a story that you're not distracted by winning something for it. But then their question is, how important is that? Mm-hmm. How important is... And maybe I should rephrase the question, Lauren. Maybe the question is more like, how do you keep yourself at a place where you're like, that would be really great to win a Grammy for that song. But that's not going to change whether I win or whether I don't. That's never going to change who I am. Yeah. Because it does change people. I think part of my conversation with Steph too about industry, especially the Christian industry in that, is that my take on the getting the award is it's really not, the award's not, you can even take the award off the table. My problem is I'm watching Christian artists say yes to God or come in with the yes to God, and then it become about nothing more than that goal. And they're losing their marriages, they're losing their identities, they're losing their, that's crazy. Their addictions and that some of the deepest conversations I've had in the last 10 years have been fallen Christian artists who just have lost their minds in that being the goal. That's my biggest thing with it. How do you keep yourself? Because there's something on you that carries favor. Mm-hmm. And I think there are different aspects of favor. Mm-hmm. And when I say that to you, I think you have the favor of God and marketing on you. There's a marketing favor on people. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep yourself in your early 30s? Mm-hmm. I don't want that to be the goal. Yeah. I don't want that to be the goal. Because the bigger the royalty checks, the more sometimes we feel like, oh, now we have to keep, because sometimes we can't regulate that. How do you do all that in your head as a young woman?
I think it's literally the simplicity of being planted in God's house. I think it's community. Good for you. But I think that it's being in relationship with people, your pastors, people who have lived more life than you, who are older than you in your church, who are planted. It doesn't have to be the head pastor. It can be whoever that you're there's fruit in their life that I want. Yeah. And you allow them to speak into your life and correct you. like, I don't think we want to ever be corrected. It's like we can always explain away, well, that person's motive was actually they're jealous or they're, you could make up anything to convince yourself. And obviously you always take it to the Lord. But like if you have the counsel of more than one person, if you've got 3 people saying to you the same thing, who's the one who's like, who's crazy, right? Yeah. And I've seen people who actually like leave the church because they've got multiple people speaking kind words of conviction. Yeah. And it breaks my heart because I'm like, you're gonna have to hit a really low breaking point before you come back into these wonderful, welcoming, open arms that you left, I don't want you to have to go through that. Yeah. But I also just I think for one, like, it was really modeled to me growing up. Like, I didn't know, this is hilarious, but when I was a senior in high school, one of my friends was like, I think you're like super rich. And I was like, no, what? And she's like, no, what does your dad do? And I was like, I don't actually really know. I know he works for a bank. I Googled him and he was the CEO. He had never told me. That's hilarious. He had never told me. He had come to. I think you're really rich. And I go home and I go, Dad, you're the CEO of your company? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, what? And he had always told me that he worked at the same company he started right out of college. He started at entry level and became the CEO in like 10, 15 years. And I go, why have you never told me? He's like, what relevance does that have to your life? And I'm like, are we rich? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, then why did I have to save up my $10 a week for an iPod Nano? It took me like 2 years. And he's like, because you're not going to be spoiled. And like they lived a life well beneath their means and gave a lot away. But also he taught me from a young age and like all through college, he paid for my college, was like, you have this like lump sum kind of in stocks or whatever, but whatever's yours after college is yours. So budget, be frugal. Wow. I wouldn't go shopping every weekend in college because you might want a down payment for a house after. Like, he just is very good with that stuff.
So it really centered you.
Yeah, because I had no idea. I'm growing up in this church. My friends are getting Hummers for their 16th birthday. Like some of them, not all. There's also people who on the other end. I went to a big public school. But yeah, and I got a PT Cruiser. I got a used PT Cruiser when I turned 16. But like, it's community. Because like when you hang out with people where money doesn't matter and accolade doesn't matter, but they can still celebrate your accomplishments. All my friends, like if I put out a new song and we all hang out that night, they're like, yeah, let's go Tangerine. And we're playing it. And it's not like they're just like, oh, accolades don't matter. Accomplishments don't matter.
Right. You celebrate.
But then another one of them runs a marathon and we're like holding up the signs and whatever. They're all on the same level. Right. And if you surround yourself with people who are of all different like walks of life or like financial things or passions or whatever it is, I think that keeps you grounded. But I mean, just being planted in church, every Sunday you go to church and you hear the gospel preached, doesn't that bring you to tears? Like I'm always like, Lord, I'm such an idiot. I'm so sorry. I'm looking back over the last week and all these moments where I just was not thinking about you or was putting myself first. It's recentering every single week. And I think that's where, if I had to guess, because a lot of the Christian and worship industry tours and they can't even be in church or they're always in the position of leadership, they're never able to receive. It's probably like a big, simple missing piece that you think is no big deal. And then your life runs off the tracks and you're like, oh, that was a big deal. Right. Maybe. Yeah. I can't say firsthand, but I know when I've toured and been away for like 2-3 months, which is nothing compared to a lot of people, I have felt so whiplash spiritually. And I'm trying to find a church every Sunday, whatever town we're in, but I'm probably getting 1 out of 3 or 4 weeks that I'm actually getting myself out of bed because I'm so tired and showing up. Right. So for me, I feel like it's easy. Like I live here and I just get to live a pretty like simple life. Yeah. Yeah. Do your parents love what you're doing? Oh yeah. Actually, my dad, like when I was in high school, I wanted to go into interior design. And that was sort of my plan. Yeah. And so senior year, I applied to some like Michigan universities for that. And my dad was talking to me one day in the living room and he goes, I'm going to say something kind of crazy. He's like, I don't think I have American Idol dad syndrome. He's like, I genuinely think you're phenomenal at music. Because I was leading worship in our church at that point. And this is, after I got spirit-filled and all these things. And I'm like the youngest person on the worship team and everything. And he's like, I genuinely think you're going to end up in the music industry. But I'm happy to pay for this interior design degree. And we can kind of laugh about it later when you end up in music. But if you want to, you could just go get a music degree and it might really help you. And I was like, whose parents tell them to go? Someone who's been in finance and a stable career for his whole life. And he's like, I think you should really pray about it. And that's when I began to really pray. And then God led me to like Hillsong and going there. And
amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely love it. I think that they're on the edge of their seats for me to do like a worship record of my own one day, which if God leads that, I am so there.
And you'll do that under Lauren Sloat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like I would love to do that, but I just haven't felt him like, okay, Lauren, like, I feel like the songs will just come, and then you'll know. But
okay, I have 2 more questions for you and we'll wrap this up. The first question is, what is your hope for this new record? What would you love most for people to feel when they, because I've thought about that with every project, that what do I want people to feel or gain in a project release? Because you're very intentional with the way that you put a project out. You're not doing it because a label's like, you owe us a project, which can somehow manifest an earning thing. Right. What do you hope people feel? Because you're not going to release the title yet. Mm-hmm. You're going to keep releasing singles. Yeah. What do you want them to feel? What do you want us to feel by the time this record comes out and we get to listen to it?
I have journaled so much about this and asked the Lord even more so, like, what do you want people to feel? And I feel like the word is freedom. I want people to feel free, just period. Like free to laugh, to dance, to cry, to feel. These songs are, a lot of them are love songs because a lot of them were written during me falling in love, getting married, and Super Tropicali was just coming out as I was like song by song as I was falling in love. So it was like I'm writing behind the scenes, but these songs aren't coming out, which is awesome. But I think there's more depth to it than that. Like there's the first song Jordan and I ever wrote, which I think will be the last track on the album. We're sitting in now our living room, is my house. And like he starts playing this amazing piano thing and I'm singing over it. And the words that are coming out of me are about my fear of vulnerability in front of him. Wow. And how all I want is his approval. And this is the first time we're writing. And then we both it was so emotional for us. And I cried, and he was kind of like, it was just the first time we had tried. It was this messy experience of trying to write together. And we shelved it and God brought it to mind in the making of the album. And it's one of our favorite songs now. Wow. So even that, there's a different depth than just I'm in love, like skipping around. But my last album, Super Trop, was very much a coming of age record. And it was about this sense of it's okay to make mistakes along the way and find yourself. And it was very much like a concept record where I was writing through the lens of a character. And a lot of the stories were not about me. And I found a freedom in kind of hiding behind that. Yeah. And this time it's just me. It's like, here I am. This is me. And maybe there's something in here that helps you be you. Be you. Period.
That's beautiful.
That's my hope.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the last question, I try to ask everybody this, but I always talk about the difference between burning and gifting. That burning is what you were born for. Whoa. And that's deep in you. Gifting is your gifts. Mm-hmm. But that it's kind of like if you got a car in your garage, that's your gift. But it won't work unless you put the gasoline in it. So when you think about that in terms of your life, what are you putting into the atmosphere when you walk into a room? Like for me, I only found that out because I had the Lord say, ask me it, and I couldn't figure out what he was saying. And he said, what is the thing that you're most attacked with? And I'm like, discouragement. And he goes, what's the opposite of that? And I'm like, courage. He goes, that's what you burn for. That's why hell hates it. That's why hell's spit discouragement at you your whole life. So I ask everybody that because you carry all of these gifts, Lauren, but if you were to try to, bring all that down to the core of the wick deep in the center of your being with all the songs that you're writing and all the stuff that you're doing in art and music, what are you pushing out into the atmosphere? Gosh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's making me emotional to think about.
It really has that effect on everybody. A lot of people have to find their burning through what the residual attack has always been.
Yeah.
Like if it's attack against their mind, if it's attack against their body, people that'll burn for healing will always be sick or, things like that. But I think when we realize what we're burning for, it empowers us in a whole different way. Because we have hell's number in a way we didn't have hell's number before. Yeah. And for me, that's what it did. It was like, oh, that's why, I loop in discouragement all the time. And I've got to get myself out of it because I burn for courage.
Gosh. Well, maybe I'll change my answer after going home with this and really praying into it.
Just off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, it's kind of twofold. And I'm thinking about a conversation I had with Hope Darst. You know her.
Yeah.
Okay. We were writing, we might have been writing Mighty Name of Jesus. We were writing for our church, basically. And we were talking about evangelism. And I said this statement of everybody just burns for people to know Jesus, to be saved. And she looked at me and she goes, no, they don't. And she's like, she's like, of course, on a high level, yes.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't wake up in the morning and go, why don't more people know Jesus? She's like, I wake up in the morning and what flashes through my head when I'm praying is all the people that need deliverance, that need healing. She said all these things. And I was like, and of course I want deliverance for people too,
Yeah.
Of course, we want that. We want it all. And I'm, crying as she's talking. And I'm like, my brain cannot understand how Jesus paid the whole price.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is let him be revealed to people for them to have their whole life changed. They don't have to pay money. They don't have to do anything but receive this free gift. And it burdens me that there's so many people who haven't received it because it makes no sense. It's anyone who can see Jesus clearly wants him.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
So what are we doing that's standing in the way of people seeing Jesus clearly? Or what are we not doing that's standing in the way of people seeing Jesus clearly? And then as you're talking, the words that I feel flashing through my mind are burning to be seen.
Wow. Because
it's that sense of I have such a fear of being seen.
Wow.
That I've grappled with for so long of that I'm afraid of, whatever, but I'm also deeply burning for Jesus to be seen. And the only way he can be seen is if I let myself be seen.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
I mean, my neighbor cannot hear me talking without seeing me, cannot see what God's done in my life without seeing my brokenness alongside of it.
And don't you feel in so much of your music too, there's a wanting to reach out so that people know that you know how they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be accepted maybe is even another word, but that sense of you are seen and you are loved.
That's a burn. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It makes me want to just absolutely lose it.
I mean, and I'm always telling even the kids that I mentor and used to talk about all the time with the dive school, but I'm always just encouraging people that hear that to kind of go back and sit with it.
Yeah.
And be like, whoa, because it's so big on the side of when God, revealed it to me, it became my healing journey. I was like, oh, that's why I'm constantly discouraged and allow all this rejection and blah, blah, blah. Wow. So I started learning how to pace myself to fight and become one that fights for courage because I was fighting for it in everybody else, but I was struggling with the burden of what you would say, not being seen or feeling rejection. For me, it was there was this wave of discouragement that's going to say, you're not enough. You can't do this. Nobody's going to care what you put out. And having to stand up and say, no, I do care. And I want this to throw courage and life on people because it's throwing courage and life on me. That kind of a thing where you're getting your moxie back. And so it is a journey. When you go back and start talking to the Lord about, I burn for being seen and acceptance. Like, oh
for
God,
people to be seen.
For people to be seen and accepted. God, would you show me where this stronghold in my life of feeling like you don't see me? You know what I'm saying? It's like you start doing that and the Lord arrives with a shovel.
Honestly, though, I'm excited to dig into this.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool. But
like, imagine if you had given up so many years ago.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be places for people like me.
No.
Like, you have stepped in because you've said, okay, Lord, I'll go there. Bring your shovel.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Like, that's courage. And because of that courage, like, someone like me can move into this town and be a female worship leader and be, taken seriously. And
I don't think if God said to me at 16, you're gonna build people's foundations. You're gonna help you're never gonna be as tall as where people are or gain what they get, but you're gonna pioneer this. I would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah. You have the wrong person, bro.
Like, this is like, you mean I get the pain and not the glory?
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you're like, oh, this is why you plant a field for other people to eat the fruit. This is why you do it.
The joy.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, this is pretty insane. But you will never know that until you're willing to walk it out. So, and being very aware that you're a courage thrower. It's why I do the podcast. It's why I do mentorship. I'm like, it's why I adopted. That was the beginning stages of like, throw your life on somebody else and save them. Don't think about how it has to be for you. So anyway, that's why I asked the question. It bleeds into
every area of your
aspect.
Life too. Because I know people on this podcast can see tiny bits of this room, but your house is like so beautifully curated by the hand of like a hostess. Like, you can tell this house was not made for you to like hole up in and just be by yourself all the time. It's like you, and like seeing your trip to Italy and seeing just like how you come alive around a table.
Oh yeah.
That is just incredible. It's like your life's become a table.
Yeah.
That's
what I like.
Amazing.
That's why I went to Italy, because my first trip with the group is going to be in September and then April of 2027, where I want to take artists in an immersion of the senses, because it blew every creative sense out of the to the moon there. So I totally
also, last thing, sorry, I'm not trying to like drag us out, but I was gonna say this earlier and it got away from me. I think you mentioned how the Lord doesn't need to like take a drug to get inspired to create. Like, and I've always had a theory about that. And when people say like, why aren't Christians making the greatest music? And I'm like, I have such a theory on this. I think all inspiration is birthed out of genuine, strong connection. Yeah. So if people have this genuine, strong connection to this drug that, whatever makes them feel a certain way, they feel inspired. Well, God is always in connection. He's a Trinity. Yeah. He's always in perfect connection. So he has no lack of inspiration and ideas and creativity that come from the channel of connection. And I think that like, if we focused on strengthening our connection to the Lord, not just through, it is wonderful and beautiful how God can show up alone in a closet, in the dark. Yeah. We need that because he's so far beyond our five senses. But he also created our five senses. And when we like explore this world that he's created and we see the beauty, we're like, why do I feel so inspired in Europe? It's like, well, you're connecting to more of what you haven't seen that God is. Like you're connecting hopefully deeper to the Lord.
Centuries and centuries. I had this encounter in a church in Fano where that particular town is what is the great Augustus.
Okay.
And so the church was closed when I went in there, when I tried to get in. And so I came back with my niece about an hour later and I just walked to the church. Of course, the whole time in Europe, the Lord's like, look up. Because if you're in a building and in Europe and you look up, it's a whole different world.
How did they do that?
It's a whole different world.
I do not know.
Whether it's a painted ceiling or somebody painted on the ceiling or just the sheer architecture of the building itself. It's just insane. And so I felt like the Lord said, hey, I want you to sit down in here and pray for your son. And I was like, what? He goes, this particular church has heard centuries of prayers of mothers over their sons. And he said, join in.
How cool.
With the prayer. And I had never, that concept had never entered my mind. I've been going to church for years. And I just thought, you're telling me you've heard more prayers from mothers for their sons in this particular church. And I just had this powerful hour with the Lord, just praying for my kid in a 14th century church that has heard hundreds of years of prayers for their sons. And I was just like, where else? Because you couldn't go to America, you know.
We haven't been around for that long.
But I just was, I walked away almost like that part of my mind was blown to actually not go into a building that has any kind of age or artifact to it without remembering to ask God if there's something important in this room that I would love to know about. You know what I'm saying? And to join God in the storytelling of things that maybe nobody asked the stories. So I think that's what I want Italy to be in the broadening of our senses, you know, where you taste from the land, you see, I'm going to bring an artist with us to paint and teach us how to paint and songwrite. We'll do songwriting there in the chapels.
So exciting.
So so
I love this vision.
Yeah, it's so great. Anyway.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you
for your
me.
time. And we'll be on the lookout for your unnamed yet album. But
thank you.
We hear you on trailers, and I mean, you could go look up Fleurie and find out all the songs that you've done. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for loving the Lord. And just being consistent. I think that's the beauty of it, is just being consistent. You're the best.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you.